Hello. All right, I have finished reviewing chapters 4 and 5. I just had some information I wanted to share. Trying to get where I am. Sorry. So first of all, in the first part of it, in your discussion question, you had to identify what the areas of interest for your emerging practice areas. What are your hopes? What are your areas that you're interested in? And so I just got some data that I thought you guys would be interested in. So there were 4 of you that were interested in aging in place, which is interesting. That's actually a decline from what we've had in years past. So just interesting. Aging in place category is probably the biggest area where OTAs work. So it'll be interesting to see if your attitudes or ideas change after you've had the opportunity to experience some different field replacements. We'll just see. Driver assessment and training programs, 0. Not one person interested in driver assessment and training programs, which is interesting, especially given the fact that we have an aging population. Safety on the roads is becoming, especially in Nashville, think about all the traffic, is becoming a bigger issue. Persons with dementia, persons surviving, think about all our veterans returning that have head injuries and spinal cord injuries. And so it's just an interesting thing that, just kind of a comment, that was not an area of interest, and we'll see also if that changes over time. Community health and wellness had a big boom. We had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people that were interested in community health and wellness. A lot interested in fitness, and we'll be talking about that as we go forward, because we have to differentiate between fitness as it would be related to like an athletic trainer or a physical therapist, and the use of exercise to stimulate different parts of your brain in order to engage areas of improve participation in areas of occupational performance. So you'll be learning about that while you're here in the program over your couple of years. But that was interesting. That's the most we've had in that particular area. Needs of children and youth, always a big one. I'm going to just make a guesstimate that we have about 12, because that's a lot of little tick marks I have there. And that is common. Outpatient programs, you guys are interested in school-based programs, lots of different things. I will tell you, when I first went to OT school, my intention was to work on pediatrics, and I have yet to work in pediatrics. I just fell in love with the older adult population through fieldwork experiences, and then became very interested in working with persons with developmental disabilities, now these days called intellectual disabilities, and I've worked with persons with spinal cord injury. I have worked in a variety of different settings, just none of those that were pediatric related, which is exactly why I went to school. So always interested to see kind of where you end up after your 2 years, if that many of you end up in pediatrics or if you end up in other places. Ergonomics consulting, we had 2, another big area for growth for OTs and OTAs. So that's interesting. And then we had 4 interested in technology and assisted device development and consultation, also as technology booms. And you'll learn more about that in your class next semester that we have on assistive technology and environments. So that was pretty cool. I thought you'd be interested in that research. Let's see here. Then looking at your critical thinking questions. So there were 2 critical thinking questions that you could have or answer. Option 1 was to interview someone from another country, and option 2 was to complete a cultural sensitivity assessment. I found those of you that completed option 1, interviewing someone from another country, I found those interviews fascinating, and I think all of the students could learn from those interviews. So I'm actually going to upload this information back into chapter 4 and 5 content section, so you can click in there and read those, because for those of you that did option 2, which is the cultural competence quizzes and assessment, many of you said you wanted to learn more about how healthcare is perceived and how persons from other cultures access care. So here's a beginning opportunity. We have probably 5 or 6 of these interviews that you could read and just go through. It won't take much of your time, but I think you'll find them as fascinating as I did. So thank you for those that did that. For those of you that did the quiz and the assessment, we had some themes that went through there. Many of you, your strengths were sensitivity to others' needs, which is, you're here as a healthcare professional and you have a desire to help other people, so that's great. Some of you felt that you were had a better broad-based knowledge of culture or other cultures but could improve. Others said, you know what, I've never been out of my hometown, and I really don't know a whole lot about different cultures. Many of you said that working with persons that needed an interpreter was something interesting, such as making sure that you talk to the individual and listen to the interpreter, not look at the interpreter and go back and forth that way. So that's a growth area for you, and that's really good. Another area of growth which you can start to get through if you read through those interviews is to understand how cultural customs dictate how a person interacts with healthcare and their reception of healthcare, and you know, going beyond eye contact or shoes on or off, but also who talks, who doesn't talk, who you're allowed to work with or not allowed to work with, because all of those cultural customs we're going to need to be able to respect and work within. So those are very fascinating. I'm going to include another video for you. It's a funny one. I can't remember if there's language in it or not, so if there is, I apologize. But it's just another take on how we communicate, and it's intended to be humorous, okay? But it's basically watching carefully the words that you choose and the assumptions that you make on other people. So that's going to be included within the email, as well as I'll post it up in the section where I'm adding those interviews. So I hope this is helpful, and let's see if there's anything else. What was the other thing? Oh, current issues facing the OT profession. I think I've already answered that in your reflections. Long day, sorry, giving lots of feedback today. So if you have any questions about that one, just let me know. I hope you're having a good start to your week, and I'll talk to you later.